So often when we Westerners read the Bible and encounter sections and phrases about women, we usually make a judgment that these are so negative. Do you think that these biblical authors were sitting down to write negative things? That they actually hated and loathed women? If you were to really look at men closely throughout the Middle East, it is doubtful that they think that they are thinking negatively, that they think that they are thinking negatively about women. I'm not saying there aren't unjust structures that exist in all cultures, putting women down. I'm just saying that they wouldn't think that they're hating women. What we want to do is invite you that whenever you read a biblical text about women that you think has negative slant against women, is to rather see this as an expression of fear. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but in the Middle East, many cultures, women are feared, not hated. How do women use their power in the Middle East? By putting one man against another, and they do this constantly there because they are in such a situation where it's what they have to do. Men in the Middle East know that women are always going to win at this. That is why they created the harem and other institutions and ways to try to control, contain, and confine women. And they're going to lose the battle, they know it, but they might as well give it a good shot. This is because men there know that women are going to win no matter what. So these so-called negative sentiments and statements about women in the Bible are really just expressions of fear, from Eve all the way through to Jezebel in Revelation. What they imply is this: we're going to lose. We're going to get shortchanged, but we have to do our best to try to contain this. Let's go to Sirach chapter 26. We can see a basic explanation of where fear originates. Sirach 26:10. Keep strict watch over a headstrong daughter, the sage advises. Notice that women in the Middle East do have minds of their own. They do have wills of their own, just like men do. And just like the males, females have to be taught loyalty and be subject to the will of the patriarch. Sirach 26, verse 10. Keep strict watch over a headstrong daughter, lest when she find liberty, she use it to her hurt. Be on guard to her impudent eye, and do not wonder if she sins against you. That verse is the next one, 11. Daughters are to be kept indoors, in the innermost section of the home, with shutters closed so they cannot see out and others cannot see in. Why do you think that is?
To protect them, to protect their honor.
To protect the house's honor.
They cannot communicate.
Do women communicate in the Middle East?
No.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do, but
With one
when
another.
they do, it's...
Males tend to react in the Middle East. Women are the intelligentsia of the village. They are brilliant. They have to be. Look what they have to put up with. Sirach 26:12. As a thirsty traveler opens his mouth, and by the way, this is not necessarily how women are, but this is how Sirach imagines them to be. As a thirsty traveler opens his mouth and drinks from any water nearby, so will she who sits down before every tent peg and opens her quiver for every arrow. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Gee, I wonder what he means by that. This expresses the conviction in this culture, okay? Not saying that's how women really are, that women are hot to trot, and you really have to control them, you have to contain them, you have to confine them. Why? Remember that honor is the most important thing in this culture. Honor is associated with men. It's public. One's public standing in the community. How do men acquire or gain more honor? This is done by attacking another man's woman. If you can show that the man cannot protect the women, then you have publicly humiliated them in the house. You've destroyed and acquired his honor. So as a man, you must protect the women. And that's why you fear them. Because if another man successfully attacks your woman, you've been shamed. And in the Middle East, shame is worse than death. I want you to recall the war that happened between Iraq and Kuwait. Right? You remember that? When Iraq invaded Kuwait? Our American news reported erroneously that Iraqi soldiers invaded and took babies out of the incubators and threw them onto the ground. Y'all remember that? That was BS. That never happened. Never happened. But we lie. Listen, we lie all the time. That's nothing new. Later on, we admitted that this was a lie. We do it all the time. But reports also said that the Iraqi soldiers raped the women because, quote, they were sex maniacs, end quote. The question was not asked was, this is a very important question. While the women were being raped, where were the Kuwaiti men? Why did no one protect these women? Now let's fast forward to the end of the story. Who led the liberating forces into Kuwait? The Kuwaiti army backed up by Allied soldiers. Okay, United States and other forces, Great Britain and so forth. That's very interesting. The Kuwaiti army led the liberating force in. How could the Kuwaiti army lead the liberating force into Kuwait at the end of the drama? Why weren't they there at the beginning of the drama? Where were they at the beginning when their wives were being raped and their country was being invaded? Answer, well, they were the first ones to flee. They were the first ones to take off. Monaco. So the raping happened not because the Iraqis were sex-starved, but because they were shaming the Kuwaiti soldiers who should have been protecting the women they left behind. But they were too busy running, hoping to join their ruler and supreme commander in Monaco, whoring and drinking. This is the political situation that happens all the time. This wasn't a situation of horrible sex-starved savages brutalizing women for their fix. It was a horrible brutalizing of women, to be sure, but it was all about honor.